Making assumptions based on past experiences is critical to the learning process, as this promotes higher order thinking skills like synthesizing. To make this a bit visual, I have prepared a code that does something very basic. Give me a second while I open it. This program starts by driving both motors at the same speed, but then starts to gradually lower the speed of the right motor, a bit like applying the brakes, but to only one motor. So after a few seconds, the right motor will stop altogether. We can already foresee what would happen then, having just the left motor turning. Let's run it and observe what happens. As you can see, the robot started in a straight line, but as the power to the right motor drops, the robot curves to the right. Actually, what happens is that the radius of the turn drops from infinity, which is the radius for a straight line, until the right motor stops. At that point, the turn diameter equals the distance between the wheels. What we get is a lovely spiral. Each curve in the spiral correlates to a different right motor speed. We now have something new to add to our rule book. A bit hypnotizing, isn't it? Here is our rule book again. Let's see what we have. Driving both motors at different speeds will drive the robot in a curve towards the slower motor. We can also add that the turn radius is in opposite correlation to the difference in speed between the two motors. So, the higher the difference, the smaller the turn radius. This is a great rule. We can now apply it to our navigation mission number 6. While there are many ways to solve this mission, the path of collectibles implies that we should drive in a curve. Since we figured out we should just slow down one motor, I will try driving the right motor at a speed of 50, while keeping the robot the left motor at top speed. So let's set the speed for the left motor at 100 and 50 for the right motor. I'll run the code and let's see what happens. As you can see, the robot is turning, but the curve is tighter than what we wanted. So what do you think? Should I increase the speed of the right motor or maybe reduce it? Write it down in the chat box and we will try again. Okay, so most of you have said to increase. So I'll start with decreasing the speed of the right motor just to spike. Let's write 25. As we can see, the curve is even tighter. So by making a mistake, we actually validated and constructed a new piece of knowledge. If only exams were like this. Now it is time to do right. I may not succeed at my first attempt, say 80. But that is fine. We know what to do, and all that remains is to adjust the speed to the right value. Almost. Let's add a little bit of speed to the ride motor, so the turn radius will be higher and we'll be able to go into that parking. Hooray! So let's have another look at our rule book. This is page 1 of our rule book. Go through it and let us know if it makes sense. These are the foundation of how to move a robot. With this in our toolbox, we can already do great stuff. If you have any questions or would like me to elaborate a little further, now is the time to ask. While you send us your questions, let me show you an example of what we can already do. This code uses only motor blocks and wheel blocks. I've added the simulation block that allows us to leave a trail in different colors. I hope you like it. I am not much of a painter, but my robot, as you can see, is a Picasso. Every Blockly code has Java preview. This is the Java preview that is created on the fly as I write my code in Blockly. I can either export this code, copy and paste it in my Java project, and then continue working on it, or starting a new project, I can choose to start a Java project programming my virtual robot in Java from scratch. We are working on additional course to further the learning that takes place in coding robots that will focus on Java. We have a couple of buttons. One would run the simulation, as you can see now in my screen, but there is also a download button. To download our code to the EV3, you need Lechos on EV3. Lechos is a Java operation system available for the EV3. Installing it requires a micro SD card, which makes the robot a dual boot, so you can still easily work with EV3G and switch back to Lechos back and forth, and that is the way to work with EV3. As you can see in CoderZ, there's a link to our help center. You can look for articles right within that widget and get results. And there are explanations on how to install Lechos onto the EV3 brick.
We have a very relevant question to wrap things up with from Christy. Where do I access the 8 navigation lessons to be ready for the next week?
Okay, you'll have to access your Coderz account. If you don't have an account, just go to gocoderz.com and ask for an evaluation. Once you go into Coderz, you're going to start a tool automatically. If you don't see the tool, you can access it from the profile menu and click the intro tool. It will start directing you where to find the missions. They are located here under this play icon. It will take you to the mission center. Here in the mission center, you can find the 3 getting started missions that we have, but scrolling down, and I'll exit the tour, you can see more and more missions. You can either start with the first mission, click next at the end of it, or going back to the mission center and choosing a mission of your choice.
Excellent. I think at this point we'll wrap up. If anyone has any additional questions, definitely feel free to be in touch with us. I'm going to hand this off to Oren to say goodbye. Oren?
Yeah, so thank you all so very much for joining us today. We look forward to meeting you again next week on our next workshop webinar. Feel free to invite additional colleagues whom you think can benefit from our workshops, or repost and retweet on Twitter for people to join us next week on the next webinar. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye, everybody.